The October 17th Board of Education meeting is called to order. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Board Member Andy Witt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Witt. Roll call, Ms. Stidham.
That is 6 present, one absent, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Pat Welsh. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Andy Witt. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Ms. Stidham?
That's all in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. And the reason why we have a full house of the most wonderful people here tonight, we are celebrating Mr. Frank Van Zandt, and we are going to start with, the Clyde Smith Jr. Leadership Award that Amy Dotson will tell us about.
Okay. I want to tell you first a little bit about the Clyde Smith Award. Clyde Smith Jr. served on the Tullahoma City School Board of Education for 20 years. His time on the board including serving as chairman of the board and as president of the Tennessee School Board Association. Clyde Smith Jr. made a difference in countless lives through his service on the board. That is exactly why this award was created in 2012 after his passing in 2010. To date, 23 other difference makers have received this award, from school secretaries to teachers to administrators. These 22 individuals have impacted thousands of lives through their service in education. Tonight, the Tullahoma Board of Education is excited about celebrating yet another incredible educator who will be this year's Clyde Smith Jr. Leadership Award recipient, Mr. Frank Van Zandt. I wanted to tell a little bit about Mr. Van Zandt. I was blessed to be in high school when he taught in Tullahoma City schools. Something that I didn't realize was that he had an engineering degree to begin with. And I heard from some of his friends that he learned really quick that sitting behind a desk was not what he was meant to be. And I'm telling you, he ended up exactly where he was meant to be. We are blessed in Tullahoma, have a lot of amazing teachers. But I'm telling you, I don't know if anyone has touched as many lives as Mr. Van Zandt did. I'm trying not to even get emotional here. He wasn't just a phenomenal teacher, but he made a connection with students that I've never seen. Now, I won't say that I was in his top honors classes because that was my friends, but I can say what they experienced with him. He brought math in the Tullahoma City schools to a whole new level. And it's carrying on with his daughter and his son-in-law that continue to do it, that do an amazing job. When I remember in high school, there was this big to-do because he won a national award. He won a national award. He received the Milk and Family Foundation Educator in 1993. And I remember when that happened because this was someone from little bitty Tullahoma that did that. And you don't get to where you are and make these kind of awards without being an amazing person. And I was reading through some things on Facebook, just people talking about, he is the reason I am who I am today. I mean, I heard so many people saying that. He's the reason that I chose the career path that I'm in today. Your dad made a difference. So tonight, we just want to recognize him and thank you all for coming to celebrate his life and his legacy.
Yes, thank you. Wonderful. And now we're going to hear from Miss Debbie Edens. Thank you, Debbie.
Villages because of Tullahoma City Schools, but probably the best one I've ever had is tonight, getting to talk about Frank, because he was such an extraordinary person. As you all know, this honor is being bestowed in his honor because of him being such an amazing educator, as you talked about, because he was, and the leader in his field. And some memories that I have is when I was in middle school as the principal, as Trent Stout standing back there, is when we would be having conversations about things going on in the math program, he would say, if they're going to get sense, If they're going to get Van Zant's program, we got to do this. And Trent would always keep me on that right path because he knew that was the end goal. And kids in middle school were already thinking about all they wanted was to make it to Frank's class. And that's amazing. There's very few teachers that kids lined up wanting to be in their class because they were so hard. Because he was not an easy teacher. But not only that, I had the privilege of having Frank as a spiritual partner and friend, a fellow educator, of course, and then a personal friend. He and I have solved a lot of the world's problems, as well as TCS problems, walking around the Greenway in Estill Springs, talking. And for those that may not know, he was the dreamer, the creator, the developer for that walkway that's still there today that I walked on this morning, and Sue was on it this morning. So every time I'm on that Greenway, I think of Frank, and not just when I pass you, but I think of Frank. While many people can say that Frank taught him, I wonder how many people can say Frank taught every person in their family, and that was the case with us. He taught my husband in high school at the start of his career at Franklin County High School. He taught both of my girls at Tullahoma High School. But the story that made the difference in my life was when he taught Debbie Edens. You see, Debbie Edens quit college because of some unfortunate circumstances. Got married, had a baby, moved here. Well, got married, moved here, had a baby, that order. And we ended up in church with Frank. And my Frank, which is my husband, and Frank Van Zant were deacons. They were on the deacon board together. And I made the decision to go back to school. And if any of you that followed that path where you got out of school and then you went back to college, it's very scary. It's very scary because can I do this? Do I know how to do this anymore? Am I going to be a successful student? And so I was going back to school, and I basically went back to see what I could do. And I had to go back and take some math classes because I had to take some math courses and I couldn't do it. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. I went home and told my husband, I said, I'm not going to be able to do this. I don't remember this stuff. He said, you can do it. You can do it. Just pray about it. So that Sunday, I'll never forget it. After church, I decided I would eat some humble pie, and I walked over to Frank, and I said, Frank, I'm really struggling in going back to school. He said, what's wrong? And I said, I don't understand this math. I don't remember it. He said, oh, Judy, you got this. And I said, I'm telling you, I don't. He said, can you be at my house this afternoon? And I said, yeah. He said, okay, eat lunch and come on over. Sue, I don't know if you remember this. We sat at your kitchen table. You remember? We sat there from the time I got there after lunch until time to go back to church that night. And he went back as far as he drew a scale and talked about the balancing of the scale. And that man is the reason that I was able to become what I am. Because he gave me that confidence back. He taught me so much that day. He taught me to get my confidence back. He taught me the importance of faith. He taught me the importance of the humbleness, because I don't know how many of you knew Frank's work ethic, but I'm going to tell you Frank Van Zant's schedule. And Sue, you correct me if I'm wrong. But Sue was a saint. Frank couldn't have done what he did without Sue. Because Frank would go to school, work all day at school, come in from school, go in his office, work in his office, go out for dinner, go back into his office, work until time for the news, and then go out for the news. Am I right? Guys, that was his schedule every day. This man was unfaltering. That's what he did. And so he gave me a Sunday afternoon that I know he would have otherwise been in there working on some problems for his kids at school. But he touched my life in a way that I don't know that he even realized how deeply he touched my life. And Sue, Karen, Chris, David, Jen's not here, but oh my gosh, what a man. What a man. And there's a lot of good people in this world. A lot of good people. But I have to tell you, he's way up there. Mm-hmm. He was the real deal. And thank you so much for allowing me to share my feelings of wonderful Frank Van Zant.
Thank you. Okay, I have a message from Dr. Dan Lawson. From my first day as a Tullahoma City Schools teammate, Frank Van Zant was identified as a stalwart educator and an exemplary human being. For the more than 2 decades that I worked with Frank, every interaction, both professional and personal, served to reinforce his reputation and exemplary status. As one recognized for tremendous professional accomplishments, Frank never relied on his past success. Instead, he always focused on improvement. He was never content with the status quo, but instead fought for better for his students and for himself. As I watched Frank and his students interact in instruction, I always saw joy, wonder, and a tireless push to know and do more. As he worked with students on their projects, he too sought to understand more. Like Clyde Smith, Frank brought out the best in all around him and did so with no desire for personal attention. Furthermore, Frank and Clyde both understood and deeply appreciated that our best work as educators was accomplished as we focused on the whole child. To that end, both were deeply involved in co-curricular activities, and while no allowance was given for a road game in Lawrenceburg or a band competition in Alabama, Frank often made many of those same trips, supporting the fellow educators and students that he served and loved dearly. I am blessed to be in a position today that allows me to invest in young people planning to serve as leaders in education. I am thankful that I have amazing, exemplary leaders and educators like Frank and Clyde to utilize as examples of those who tirelessly invested and left a legacy of tremendous accomplishments. In addition to being exceptionally bright and capable, Frank and Clyde possessed a heart to serve, a vision for a better future, and an unquestioned work ethic. I am thankful that the Smith and Van Zant families shared them with us, since I know that both made our world and Tullahoma City Schools better. So such a nice message from Dan. Tonight here we have Mr. Van Zant's family. We have, if you were a student of Mr. Van Zant, raise your hand so they can see who the students were. If you were a parent of a student that's here, parent of a student. Anyone that worked with Mr. Van Zant, Kim Carter for sure, and all that group back there, yes, from Tullahoma High School, wonderful. We love Mr. Van Zant. We appreciate everything that he has done. We love you all and appreciate you, and we are so happy to be able to share the Clyde Smith Jr. Award with Mr. Van Zant tonight. Now, if you would like to say anything, you're welcome to. If not, we totally understand. I understand. We understand. Anyone else? We're good? Okay.
Thank you. All 3 of my children have Mr. Van Zant, and I'm just going to make a few comments that happened when the oldest one came home first time from college. And he went to Dartmouth College, which is an Ivy League school. And I don't say that to brag on him. I'm saying it to brag on Mr. Van Zant. The first time he came home, I said, John, how's because I had just got on the school board, and I said, how is your background in the humanities based on, how does it compare with the people you're competing with your classmates? And he said, oh, humanities, I'm prepared at least as well as 50% of them here. And I thought, man, that's, for Ivy League school, that's pretty good. But I never said another word. And he said, but my math background is better than anybody here. And we owe him a tremendous debt. The system does, and my family does, and I thank you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. And we're so happy that you all came to celebrate such an awesome man and educator. And I know that you would love to stay for the rest of the meeting. But just in case you have other pressing things that you need to do, we hope that you will grab a cookie and a water on the way out, and we're going to give you some time to exit. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to go back and ask if there are any individuals to address the board on an agenda item. Okay, seeing that there isn't anyone, we are moving on to the fine arts update. Atticus Hensley.
I hope you all have seen the handout that was provided for you. I would like to fill in a little bit of information. So what I've got for you tonight is sort of a bare bones. This is where we are with the arts program, and some things here are things that I take for granted that I think everybody knows. Maybe we don't all know. TCS currently employs 18 fine arts educators, 12 of which see every child K through 8, which when you step back and think about that, that's a monumental number of people for a very small number of teachers. If we look at that number and we pick out a further 5 that are at THS, they provide all of the fine arts credits that are necessary to graduate students, whether they're involved in arts programs or not. You know, everyone has to have one, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but those numbers add up after a while. And they also provide the courses necessary to fill out a full course of study if someone wants to maintain involvement beyond year 1. We are currently fully staffed. Thankfully, when you look at how other districts are dealing, there are jobs of all descriptions wanting, but fine arts jobs in particular are becoming more and more difficult to fill. And I think we're in a good position when we do eventually deal with retirements. I think we're in a good position to fill those because we have good-looking jobs. More numbers, just to kind of bat things around. If you look at the middle school band, 6 through 8, it's about 225 people, which doesn't sound like a monumental number maybe, but when you think about that's more than 20% of our middle school enrollment. That's quite large. You look at the high school band, you've got similar numbers there. You've got right at 15% of the entire student body of Tullahoma High School involved in the band. So we're reaching a lot of people. The choir program continues to grow. If you look at the big number, 58 people, doesn't sound like that's a whole lot, but that's 132% more than we had 3 years ago. So that program is growing. The visual arts program, and I'm not pulling this directly from a data source. I'm pulling this from Sandy Clanaris in conversation. 45 requests that were unfillable. There were not enough seats for people who wanted to be in classes with Kelly Orr. Theater program, this is the first year since I have been in this position that we have a theater teacher who's tasked solely with teaching theater classes. No English, no media arts, which I think says a lot for the future of that program. And of course, our system is very well represented by our students. 7 of our students attended Governor School for the Arts. 7 of them went to all-state band or choir, which once again does not sound like a very large number, but you look at the size of our school system and compare us to much larger districts that don't represent as well. I know that you're all aware of a whole lot of recent happiness with our involvement in the Mr. Hollins Opus Foundation State of the Art Survey. For most of us, that is very recent happiness. For me, and for Dr. Stevens and a few other people in the room, that's been 2 years of. I'm not sure how you put that in the minutes, but the process that we went through to get to that moment of happiness was very detailed. We have a much better idea now of where our school system lies, and I'll just, in short, say that that survey process told us that the arts program in Tullahoma is indeed very healthy. It pointed out a few points of weakness that we now have direction to address. If we look at direct impact, because this is where everyone gets interested, right? We are still in the process. Even today, I had to fill out paperwork for a big delivery of instruments that came to East Middle School. $75,000 in total worth of instruments. That's $25,000 from the Country Music Association Foundation. Tullahoma City Schools put some skin in the game with another $25,000 to get another $25,000 in matching funds from CMA and the Music Has Value Foundation. So a total of $75,000 worth of equipment, instruments that I would like to point out. That doesn't cover all of our issues. That very strategically takes care of some major issues for which we're very, very happy. And there's some other things that we have along with that. In my mind, one of the biggest things that has come out of that process is an enhanced level of communication between our arts faculty and our special ed faculty. Just today, I was asked for, can I get a list of names? Dr. Boone asked, can I get a list of names of all the different fine arts teachers? I said, I'll go you one better. How about a list of names, contacts with photographs included? Oh, wow, you have that? So yeah, the special ed department asked for that. We're in tight. Wendy Wilkerson, she's my buddy. We're also in the process of creating a district-wide inventory system for the first time. It is in every teacher's contract that they will maintain an inventory of the classroom, and that's expected, and it is done. But it was pointed out to us during the process of that survey that in the unlikely event of a major natural disaster, if we lose a building to fire or tornado or whatever, we might not, in fact, be very well covered from the insurance point of view without a very detailed and solid inventory. We're now in the process of integrating all of our inventory in with the tech department. I have another friend sitting over there in that corner, and she's a very good friend. We on the topic of the other arts, because this was instruments. Right? What about our visual art teachers? What about our theater program? And to that, we have, as a district, taken the information that we learned and become a little more creative with how we support those programs. We started a program of district-wide bulk purchasing to go along with the individual purchase power that each art teacher has, and we're able to achieve some significant savings. We're still in the early days of that, but we're very excited about what that could do for us. And of course, some of you got to be present at the big instrument reveal at EMS. I think it is so cool that East Middle School was chosen to be just one of 3 schools out of the entire state to represent this whole program statewide. It is unfortunate, though, in that now the community has a little bit of an idea that East Middle School got a big Easter egg. And I'm like, no. It's the whole district. They all worked for it. They all deserved it. On the subject of grants, we recently received a very nice grant from the Sportsman Businessmen's Charitable Organization that funded the purchase of a kiln for East Middle School to help complete their art room. We've now received 2 kilns, both of which were damaged in delivery. The third one's supposed to show up tomorrow.
Wow.
So, third time's charm. And if you look on the wall over there, you'll see an award, and that one's actually dated not this last year, but the year before. We're a little bit behind. But the National Association of Music Merchants does an extensive survey as well, to the tune of like 70 pages worth of questions about the district and the individual teachers and how things were funded and blah, 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 on and on and on. And going through that survey 2 years ago, we were awarded that little plaque over there. It says that Tullahoma is one of the best communities for music education in the nation, one of just a handful in the state. We did achieve that award again last year, which would make the total for Tullahoma historically 3 times, first time 2 years in a row. And I've been informed by my boss that needs to be 3. So I'm working on it. We are a Tennessee Arts Academy partner school. That means that we support attendance at Tennessee Arts Academy for a significant number of our arts teachers. I will not bore you to death with details about what that does for us. I will, however, encourage you in mid-July next year to come and visit Tennessee Arts Academy for a day if you're able. And I'll make sure that you all have information about that. It is intensive. They come away with 36 hours of professional development credit. We have teachers that very happily give up a week of their summer to go and take part in this. And honestly, there's nothing like it anywhere else in the nation. When they bring faculty in from all across the nation, they always ask, how did this happen in Tennessee? And the answer is because we wanted it. Because we wanted it. That program had participants from all across our district this year, including our first ever general ed participant in the form of Chris Staples from FARA. And as a district, we are beginning a push to get more of our general educators in the room, especially at the elementary level, because there's just a mass of tools that they can pick up. We don't want to turn them into art teachers. We already have those. We've got great ones. But the techniques that they can learn in that program are super valuable. And I think we should share with the board the interview with Chris Staples so they can see his take on that. We have in this room with us a very special person, if we didn't already know that, who is the Tennessee Art Education Association Administrator of the Year in the form of one Dr. Katrine Stevens. And I even put in the notes, if you notice, I put a little whoop whoop in there.
Oh, yeah.
That will be awarded later this month. This is actually the first time that TAEA has made such an award. If you don't mind me going into a little bit of backstory, I nominated Dr. Stevens for an award with them last year. It was titled Friend of TAEA, which is the only category they had available for a non-TAEA member. And they were so excited. It's like, this is exactly the kind of person we want to honor. We want to encourage what this person does. I thought, that's great. So we got it, right? No, we're giving that. She was supplanted by the University of Memphis, who hosted their conference last year. But I think that led to discussion that, yes, the Tennessee Arts Education Association wants to honor people who are supporting their ideals in schools. So I think they made that one just for you. And I think it's a good thing because it'll go to other people in the future as well. Tullahoma has an outsized voice in the arts world in Tennessee. We have always looked at ourselves as a very art-centric, art-supportive district in the community. I'm going to have to go hang out with the Arts Council at the Arts Crawl right after this. Is supportive of the arts in general. But one of the things that we don't see from the inside is the voice that we have from the outside. We have teachers that are involved to a great extent in their professional organizations. Just in recent years, if you go down that list, we see Justin Scott, who just got done serving as president of the Middle Tennessee State Band and Orchestra Association. Both Lisa Burden and myself have served on that executive committee. And those are the people who drive what curriculum looks like in the state. When people at the Department of Education want to find out, what is appropriate in our schools, they go to the pros. Who are the pros? The people in those professional organizations. Tennessee Arts Education Association middle area representative this year will be Kathy McMillan from West Middle School. And we still don't know for certain, but Kelly Orr is a candidate for their secretary position. And in one of the various things I do to try to represent our district, I currently serve as vice chair for the Tennessee Council of Visual and Performing Arts Supervisors, which has the worst acronym ever. We just call it TICFAPAS. We pay for membership for our teachers in these organizations if they want it. We don't force them to do it. And that is part of how we make those positions more attractive. When a teacher comes and looks at a position in Tullahoma, they're not just looking at a salary. They're not just looking at a community. They're looking for, how much money do I have to buy supplies in the room? What sort of professional development opportunities do I have available to me? How am I going to be supported as far as involvement in my professional organizations? And all those things we put together is sort of like a little perk package. It works. it works. Why do we have an outstanding fine arts program? It's because this room right here has people in it who have a very clear understanding of the importance and the value of arts education to our students. We fund those positions. It was not very long ago that the board sat and debated, should we have full-time art and music at all of our elementary schools? And it was unanimous, to my memory. It's like, yes, our kids need that. So we went and did it, and it's made it possible for us to continue bringing talented people into the district. That supply budget, we have great student-teacher ratios. By and large, I'm not talking about the 80-to-1 student ratio that I saw when the high school band went outside to rehearse this afternoon. That's different. We have arts-friendly scheduling. All across the state right now, there are districts that are scrambling to figure out how at the middle school level are we going to meet all the new requirements for our students, the computer science requirements. And in some districts, they're actually considering, well, maybe we just have choir and band one semester and then take those kids out of that and put them into a computer science class for another semester. We won't be doing that because we have a schedule that allows for 2 related arts courses, and a child doesn't have to choose that way. They can have what they want to have and what they need to have, and maybe what they want to have is what they need to have. And at the high school too, the high school has always been very sensitive to scheduling. They're wonderful, making sure that there's a spot for everybody. District-minded hiring practices. Almost without fail, if a principal is looking to hire a position, I get a phone call. And sometimes I get emails and phone calls and messages and texts. And sometimes they call me when I'm on vacation. And I'm happy for that. I'm so excited about that because that means that they're thinking about not just their little part of the world, but the whole district. And obviously because of your support. And because without this right here, none of that happens. So thank you all very much. I have just a couple brief things to say about the future. Right? And I will say it this way. I'll go back to those 45 extra requests for a visual art class at THS. We're in dire need of a second visual arts position. When Dr. Boone and I toured around today, at the end of the day, we ran into Jessie Kinsey. Dr. Boone had to go off and deal with another meeting. Jessie Kinsey asked me, did you talk to her about a second position? It's a real need. We have the space for it. We have the ability to create that. What we just need now is the position. And that's a program building thing. If all of our best teachers are tied down teaching those entry-level courses because we have to get those fine arts credits out the door, they don't have the time or the capacity to build level 2, level 3, which our students deserve. There are people there who need it. And if you have any questions for me and you don't want to bog down this meeting, call me anytime you want. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. A great report. Always wonderful things happening with our fine arts, and we appreciate your whole team. Thank you so much. Leadership internship presentations, Dr. Stevens.
Yes, and before we transition to this group, I do want to thank Atticus for this presentation. It's really great, each of our meetings having an update, whether it's from athletics or academics or arts, and next month will be CTE, just to get a look and a listen to things that are happening across the district that are really fantastic. And next is another fantastic and exciting opportunity that 3 individuals are dying to participate in. And we have with us 3 leadership interns with us this evening. As you will recall, they started in January of 2023, so they've completed 1 full placement and are halfway through the other placement. They work with both principals and assistant principals in their placements, and they are not shadows. They do the work. These are licensed administrators serving as interns. They're charged this evening, and they know they're going to be evaluated by me as they work through this presentation, is to talk to you about the impact and the takeaways of this internship, because they understand your commitment to supporting them in job-embedded professional learning as you provide substitutes for them to be able to do this important work in learning and growth. So we're going to begin first with Dr. Nikki Tooten. She is currently the Bel Air behavior teacher. Dr. Tooten.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Nikki Tooten, and like Dr. Stevens mentioned, I am currently the behavior teacher at Bel Air Elementary. I served my first placement at Robert E. Lee with Miss Gilbert, and I'm currently serving my second placement at East Middle School with Dr. Tullahoma. This internship program has been an amazing opportunity to prepare us for future leadership roles. As a classroom teacher, it is difficult to prepare yourself or to get valuable experience without programs like this one. Through this internship, I have been able to experience the life of a principal in both an elementary and middle school setting. And let me tell you, those experiences, rewards, and challenges are very different. The biggest eye-opener for me has been the many roles and responsibilities that a principal has day to day. A principal must check on school grounds, building maintenance issues, oversee janitors to ensure proper cleaning, focus on student achievement and progress, address teacher concerns, demonstrate, and huge thing here, demonstrating care for all, students, subs, staff, and much more. And truthfully, this is just the tip of the iceberg. While a principal has a plan that is well laid out, it is clear that any event needing attention trumps any plan that you have. Through this leadership internship program, I had the opportunity to sit in on meetings with a different focus than I did as a classroom teacher. I handled disciplinary issues from a different perspective as an administrator. I had the opportunity to log in discipline into Skyward, which is something that as a classroom teacher I do not have access to do. And I learned a really important lesson about valuing staff. It is important as a leader to have a little bit of experience in what all staff members do, as it helps to build a culture of appreciation. For example, I stood behind the counter and I greeted students and adults as they entered the building. And I learned how difficult it is to use a machine that strips the coats of wax off the floor. Well, it's mind-blowing because I'm like, oh, I can do that. It's quite difficult. I've learned a lot from my mentor principals, and I want to thank Miss Gilbert and Dr. Tullahoma. I think I see him somewhere. For providing me with teachable moments, information, insights, and helpful experiences in leadership. And I want to thank them for trusting me as their intern. I also want to thank Dr. Stevens for creating this internship program and for meeting with the interns throughout the year, exposing us to district leaders and their roles. And mostly I want to thank her for her time and her feedback in our journals, as that not only made us accountable, but it helped us to think and learn and grow as future leaders. And I also want to thank you guys, the board, for investing in teachers who wish to be leaders by providing the substitutes that are needed to have this experience. Thank you.
And when the three of them are done, you'll have an opportunity to ask them any questions. They don't know that yet. And then we'll pick on one of them to answer or make any comments. I now would like to introduce Pam Parker. Pam is an RTI teacher at Farah Elementary. Pam.
Good evening. Just as Dr. Stevens said, my name is Pam Parker, and I am currently in the RTI teacher at Farah. And I would like to take this time just to express my gratitude for giving us the chance to participate in this leadership internship. Eleanor Smith said, people of accomplishment rarely sit back and let things happen to them. Instead, they go out and make things happen. And I feel like this internship has really done that for us. we've been fortunate to immerse ourselves into that administrative role while engaging in meaningful discussions with our mentors. And throughout this program, we really got a lot of good experience through that. I worked at Bel Air Elementary and at West Middle School, where I gained invaluable knowledge there, both those places. During my time at Bel Air, I participated in various leadership activities, such as doing classroom observations, participating in IEP meetings, having discussions with students about discipline or academics, and being part of parent meetings. And even though at some point in time I have filled in for principals at Farrah Elementary, I was still taken aback at how unpredictable the scheduling is of a principal. It was really apparent at that point in time that the numerous behind the scenes things that principals have to deal with that you might not see unless you're actually doing it. And during my internship at Bel Air, I did gain lots of valuable insights and knowledge. One thing that I felt like Dr. Epley really instilled in me was being proactive and making sure that parents or staff members, everyone knows what to expect and what's expected of them, and not having people being caught off guard by what happened. And also, I observed that Dr. Epley established a great relationship with his teachers and staff, and just fostered a sense of community within the school environment, which I thought was very important. And currently, I'm interning at West Middle School, and even though we're only halfway through this program, I must say that my time with Ms. Herrera has been incredibly valuable. I've been able to conference with students, conduct program research, and gain an understanding of the difference between middle school and elementary school. And I enjoyed participating in meetings and observations, which led to really good discussions with Ms. Herrera and Mr. Roberts. And I really am surprised that I enjoy being at the middle school as much as I do. I really didn't think. I was like, oh, I don't know, because I've had other people ask me, would you consider going to middle school? And I was like, I don't know. But I've really have enjoyed it much more than I ever would have expected. So this has been a valuable hands-on exposure to administrative roles, and it's provided us the opportunity to meet with Dr. Stevens as well. And during those meetings, we've had exposure to the other system leaders, and they've given us their insights. And those insights have really given us a lot to think about on decisions that administrators have to think about that we wouldn't normally have considered if we weren't part of this role. And so just want to thank you guys for giving us this privilege, because it really has given us experience that you would not get from a graduate class or an administrative program outside of just getting in there and doing it. So thank you very much.
And now we will welcome Mikey Butner. He is at West Middle School and serves as one of our special education teachers there. Mr. Butner.
All right, thank you. Have you ever been curious about anything? We all know that curiosity killed the cat, but sometimes curiosity gets a bad rap. Albert Einstein once said, "I have no special talent. I'm only passionately curious." Curiosity can be defined as, number one, the ability to seek and acquire knowledge. Number two, the ability to develop new ways of understanding. And number three, the ability to sharpen your skills. Well, let me back up for a moment. I've been teaching for over 20 years. My name is Mikey Butner. I've been teaching for over 20 years. I've been in Tullahoma City Schools for the past 8 years. Before coming to Tullahoma City Schools, I was an assistant principal. Now, with that being said, you have to wonder, why would I want to or even need to sign up for a leadership program? Well, let me explain why. First, let's explore the knowledge aspect. I've always had the drive to never stop growing. The leadership internship offered me the opportunity not just to visit other school campuses here in Tullahoma, but to be on a leadership team with these principals. Being a teammate allowed me to gain facts, information, and awareness from an experienced mentor. The more knowledge we gain, the more reasoning we will have to be better problem solvers. Next, how can the leadership internship help develop new ways of understanding? I said earlier that I was an assistant principal, but I was in a high school setting. Being placed in the leadership internship, you have two separate placements. Being placed in elementary school didn't take me long, but this is not a high school setting. Now, even though the setting is completely different, leadership skills are universal, but your surroundings dictate which hat you put on. This experience gave me the understanding that leadership has much to do with your surroundings. Finally, how can the leadership internship sharpen my skills? And I apologize to the English teachers for what I'm getting ready to say, but Marvin Gaye said, "Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby." What does that mean? That means there's no substitute for real world experience. When you're participating, you become better at noticing details. When you focus on the details, your thinking becomes more precise. This type of thinking will lead to future wisdom. Now, we've all heard this proverb many, many times. Tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I might remember. But if you involve me, I'll understand. And for me, this is what the leadership internship is all about. Thank you.
This is such an important program. We are all committed to building capacity of teachers here who aspire to be school leaders. And you know that we're in the process now of the next class of interns, and we are getting those interest letters. So it's an exciting time. As you have heard these things, what questions would you have for them, or what comments would you like to share with them this evening? Anything? Anybody have anything?
Just that we appreciate you so much coming and letting us know how things are going for you. And Mikey, what schools have you been in?
You mean here
In the internship?
East Lincoln, and now I'm at Tullahoma High School.
Okay. So how does it feel going back to the high school after having? Okay, yeah.
I enjoy, but it's like I said, you have to change that hat. Okay, it's a more firmer voice at the high school, and it's a little more calming voice at the elementary school level. And right now at the middle school where I'm at, it's kind of somewhere in between,
right,
in that transition. So you do have to, take your surroundings and make that part of what you're trying to do. I mean, that really matters.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you. Anybody have anything else?
I have a question. So you're all classroom teachers. Has it changed your view on administration being in this program and following those roles? More so than what you thought?
Nikki.
She said your name. I just asked the question.
I think it gives you just a totally different outlook and a different perspective. Your lens just becomes broader. It's no longer really just about, it's just not about your students and the classroom teacher. It's just a lot more. It's bigger. Pam?
It's the same thing. I think when you're in the classroom, you're looking at how things are affecting you, and maybe your school, but you don't really think outside of that area. And after being part of this program, you do start saying, oh, well, this affects this, which affects this, and so you kind of have a little more understanding of, okay, I can see why this decision was made. Where before, you might not.
Just that sometimes I have to make sure that I have my teaching hat on, and that I'm not an administrator all the time. But with that being said, your decision making, like they said, is influenced by, some classroom teachers just see the classroom, and maybe some decisions affect 2 or 3 tiers, higher. So you do have that always, in your mind. And we talked about that in special meetings that we have.
I have a question also. I was wondering, just from a personal perspective, how have you handled the transition from like leaving your classroom in somebody else's hands and missing going out and then coming back? Like how has that been?
I'm gonna jump off from that because that is a very difficult thing. I don't miss, and I'm there every day. So you're talking about many hours planning to make this, that you're not there, continue to go, and then when you come back, you hopefully went smooth. So there's a lot of planning, and maybe you have to get ready before, especially the day before one of our visits. So there's a lot of planning that goes.
I would say it's probably the most difficult part of the program is being out of the classroom as much as we are, and knowing that your students will be, where are you? Why weren't you here? And then of course, if you have to miss on top of that, which this year I've had to do a little more than usual, you do have that guilt where you're not in the classroom as much, and so, that has been a little difficult. But
That's what I was going to say. For me personally, especially in my role this year, I do feel guilty. I'm the behavior teacher at Bel-Air. But a great thing is Dr. Epley's been super supportive, and he's like, "Hey, we've got this taken care of. You go on to East Middle, and things are good." So having that support just really gives me that comfort because I do feel that. And then of course the planning piece, but that's any teacher on any given day that you're out. It's just kind of what comes with it.
And we do have a standing expectation if we're short subs, which sometimes happens, and their class is impacted, they stay with their students. So they do not do that intern day, and they can reschedule. That's very important. Their students come first.
Well, I just appreciate your willingness. I know that to take this on is, a lot of extra time on your part, and I appreciate your willingness to do the work in your classroom, even though you're not in there. You're still, doing that work, but then doing the other work too. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Moving on, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Gigi Robinson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Amy Dotson. Any discussion? I just wanted to say something very quickly. And we'll talk about this at another time too, but looking at that TISA district accountability report, that thing was 64 pages long. We have got to figure out, and I've talked to Dr. Stevens about this, and it came up last year at the delegate assembly. What can we do as a board to stop all these requirements that are coming down from the state to our district that go through everyone, that everyone participates, that there's just more and more and more reportings. It was 64 pages or 74? It's an incredible amount of work. Now, we're going to get some more feedback from that. She's going to share some with us, not tonight, but in a email. But we really need to find a way to maybe do some resolutions, because it's not just this. There's other reports that are being required, and that's on top of all the other reports that came before these. So it's just a tremendous amount of additional work for all of our people who are already doing a tremendous amount of work. And we have to do something to speak up and get this more under control if possible. So possibly a resolution, Pat, we might think about for the convention, which will be coming up. So anyhow, that was it. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Ms. Stidham?
That's all in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Unfinished business. We are moving to budget adjustments. Mr. Jordan.
All right, thank you. Presented before you tonight is an additional revision to our 22-23 general purpose budget. At our September 17th meeting, you approved an amendment In that amendment, I had made adjustments to our revenue line items to actually match them to actual revenues that we had for that year. And doing that caused a challenge with us to meet our maintenance of effort test for 2024. It's a budget to budget comparison. So in this revision, I'm going back to actually making in the revenue section changes to put the revenue back to how we originally budgeted that. So those are the revisions you see tonight.
Very good. Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the amended FY23 budget as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Andy Witt. Is there a second? Second by Beth Harrison. Any discussion?
Let me make sure I'm up with Mr. Jordan.
Okay.
Yes.
Actual changes are highlighted in yellow on the report.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And they're in the revenue section only.
You're good? Everybody good? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Ms. Stidham?
That's all in favor, Madam Chairman.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. New business, window laminate. Mr. Jordan.
All right, thank you. Earlier this year, TCS was awarded approximately $145,000 from the Public School Security Grant. An advertisement was posted seeking a qualified firm to add shatterproof laminate to glass and select doors on select doors and windows throughout the school district. One vendor, EverSafe Security Solutions, responded with interest. This is the same firm that added shatterproof laminate to several of our schools in 2020 and 2021. EverSafe toured and made recommendations on doors and windows in 8 buildings within the district that did not have the laminate on it. Their proposal to finish out this project was total $126,113. We recommend that the approval of TCS moving forward with EverSafe's bid of $126,113 to add shatterproof laminate to select windows and doors at 8 buildings throughout the district. This expense will be covered by the Public School Security Grant. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve that EverSafe's 126,113 bid to add shatterproof laminate to select windows and doors at 8 buildings throughout the district?
So moved.
Motion by Amy Dotson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gigi Robinson. Any discussion?
How much more do we have to go?
That is a. Mm-hmm.
Which is great.
Last TSBA board meeting, you'd be surprised at how far ahead of most systems we are.
That's actually where I'm most proud of this district is we're definitely ahead of the curve on this type of safety feature.
I would assume and believe that the bulk of the board members are representing some of the better systems. And from the discussion, I'm telling you, we're ahead.
Great.
Safety.
Well, and you're going to be able to take this back to them too next time. Yeah. And I'm sure you will. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Ms. Stidham?
That's all in favor, Madam Chairman.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Spring Club Sports, Dr. Stevens.
Yes, all club sports must be approved by the Board of Education prior to beginning their activities. Policy 4303 defines club sports as extracurricular athletic activities sponsored by community organizations under the auspices of the Tullahoma City Board of Education. The following club sports are presented for board approval for spring 2024 at both the middle and high school levels: Tullahoma swimming and Tullahoma bass teams.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept spring club sports as presented? Motion by Amy Dotson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Pat Welsh. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Ms. Stidham?
That's all in favor, Madam Chairman.
Thank you so much. THS gym floor replacement. Mr. Jordan.
All right, thank you. Due to its age, the Tullahoma High School gym floor is in need of replacement. With guidance from OLG Engineering, specifications and plans were created. An invitation to bid was distributed to the public in September, and a pre-bid meeting was held on October 6 for interested parties. 2 sealed bids were received on the deadline date of October 17th. Southern Flooring Incorporated submitted a bid to complete the work for $230,000. In addition, there was one ad alternate for $7,500 for a larger THS logo that'll go throughout the center court. After reviewing the bid with OLG Engineering, we are recommending accepting Southern Flooring Inc.'s bid in the amount of $230,000 and the possible ad alternate for $7,500. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Do I have a motion to accept Southern Flooring's bid in the amount of $230,000 and the possible ad alternate for $7,500?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Andy Witt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gigi Robinson. Any discussion? I think Andy and I were both happy to. We had finance meeting yesterday, and we knew the range that it could come in, and this was a nice surprise.
Yeah, definitely. We kind of had a range, and when Hank was speculating on it, of course, I kept going to the company at the higher end, and then when it came in, we're like, "Oh, this is fantastic! Much better than what we thought."
Yes, it's going to be so great.
It's very needed.
So needed.
You walked on the court for
Yeah.
anything. You know, it's very needed.
And should this pass, Mr. Jordan, when do you think this process would begin?
We have asked the contractor and was specifically said you have the months of June and July to work on this. That'd be 24. So once the last day of school and it's safe to get them in there, they're open to go, and that's the requirement of the contract. They finish it by end of July.
Very good.
Excellent.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm not going to go into great detail, but your flooring is tongue and groove, and the nails are put in diagonally right above the tongue. And right now we've sanded the floor so much that the nails are about to be seen. Which this is going to have to happen.
Right.
And
Right.
We're lucky that the bids are lower than the guess was.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very good. Anything else? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Ms. Stidham?
That's all in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. District report. Excellent, you all. District report. Dr. Stevens.
Yes, ma'am. I want to acknowledge the team who worked together with me on the TISA accountability report. Several of them are in this room. Dr. Boone, Hank Jordan, Jesse Kinsey, Dr. Sudbury, Dr. Wilkerson, and Zach Birdsong. There was a lot of work that went into getting this report ready so that we could indeed put out a survey to solicit input and feedback, which is a requirement and has to be included on that report. There's a November 1st submission to the Tennessee Department of Education with board minutes, which will be from this evening's board minutes, that has to be attached, showing that you all have approved that report as it stands. I want to extend all my thanks to all staff, parents, school board members, and community members who took the time to complete the TISA Accountability Report survey that was out from October 4th through October 13th. The results were extremely positive and supportive. With each of the 6 questions, those were about the goals and action steps, receiving an average score above a 4. 5 is our high point. All of them were above a 4. The comments provided, so there was an opportunity to give just open-ended comments. Of the 78 comments that were there, largely they were supportive of what we are doing. And there were some other comments that were helpful to us as we consider our work moving forward. This will be something, as it stands right now in law, we have to do every year as we update those goals and action steps and seek input and feedback from our stakeholders. I also want to give special congratulations to our high school girls soccer team, who earned a second place finish in the district tournament last week, which was a very challenging and emotional and give it your all contest. We wish them luck this evening as they are competing against Livingston Academy in Cookeville. And I know some of us will be getting texts here real soon as to how it's going. If they win tonight, they move forward and play on Thursday. There is a possibility that they will meet again. whom they met last Thursday. So location and team will be determined based on the outcomes of both of these soccer games that are happening. I also want to just briefly recognize two individuals being inducted into Halls of Fame, John Olive, the Tennessee Coaches Hall of Fame, and Derek Rowe, the Tennessee Aviation Hall of Fame. That's very exciting for our school district and for those individuals. And on Thursday evening, I want to make all of you aware we will be welcoming and hearing from the Tennessee Department of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. They're going to be talking with us, families and staff members, about services their department provides, from early intervention to support for children with disabilities, behavioral health support, and even services to transition students to independence. This presentation will occur in the auditorium at Tullahoma High School. We invite any of you to come Thursday evening, 6 to 8. And as you know, the second quarter is 2 days in, and we are all raring to go. So, Madam Chair, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Excellent. Not really anything tonight. Just want to let you know that Daniel Berry, who is our liaison, our alderman liaison, is working again tonight with the Bel Air Bees flag football team. So he believes that this is the last time that he'll miss a meeting, and he'll be here with us next time. But we're so happy that he does that and enjoys it so much. And the kids crack me up when they come and they run through the team and somebody falls and then they all start falling, and it is the cutest thing as long as they're not hurt. But anyhow, they're darling. And also, if after the meeting you'll just give me 1 minute, I just need to talk to you all for just a quick second. And we did City Board Liaison Report, Personnel Report.
Yes, the personnel report for the month of October has been included in your agenda as an attachment.
Very good, thank you. And now we have the monthly financial report. Mr. Jordan.
And the financial report through the end of September is also included with your package.
Is there anything else to come before the board? I want to thank Angel for getting everything set up and getting all the information out, the invitations out for Mr. Van Zant's reception and the meeting tonight, and also thank Zach for getting all the information out about the event. So thank you all. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
You got it.
Motion from Pat Welsh. Is there a second? Second from Amy Dotson. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Ms. Stidham. Meeting is adjourned.